Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. I know I'm a little early. I wanted to share some paper with you. These are the um, traditional Christmas papers, and I just wanted to show you how gorgeous they are because the catalog just can't do them justice. Anyway, this is just flip through real quick while we're waiting for everyone to join. They use Secret C in here too, but the flowers are interesting because they've used a pink and a very pale blue, and so it's not strictly limited to Christmas. Here's a lot of the pink again with the dramatic red. Now this is one of the ones that you can actually use the dies to cut out the design, and I have used some of the loose flowers here. I've cut them out and used them as embellishment. More Secret Seed background, and this is all gold and poinsettias. Okay. The other design that you can cut out, of course, you can cut out from what you stamp in the set, but uh, is this little bouquet of flowers here. This is really works well, including cutting the image on the side. You can still use those in some cases. I used some of the ones down here that were cut off in another arrangement. It works fine. Anyway, that's the traditions of Christmas paper. I've used it to do a one-sheet wonder with, and I like the results. And I'm having fun playing with these cutouts because they're really pretty. So that's kind of my share for the moment. And then, let's see. I don't know if this is going to help or not. It might be too bright. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I just want to make sure everyone's welcome as they come in. This is the first card we're going to be doing. It's the Notes and Totes bundle. There's a lot of little pieces in here. So I actually had some fun just playing around with what I have. You'll have extra pieces in your kit. You don't have to use them all. In fact, some of the washi tape cutouts you might want to save for a later card in the group, but that's just up to you. Anyway, that's basically what we're doing. I wanted to talk about the Notes and Totes a little bit. The stamp set, gives you some greetings. What I used on the card was the first part of this one, relax, and then I stamped the enjoy in the inside. But there's a lot with the die cuts that just, okay, you see this new flash and exclusive. Well, this little piece here, this die here, actually cuts out like a newspaper. So that would be like the headline, and then the story would be in this intersection. The dies include these here, which actually make like a little fence. You have the sunglasses, which would give you the rims as well as the background. You have various containers. This is the die for the tote, and this is one handle. This is a different handle. This is a scarf, and then just various other amenities. This odd-looking die actually cuts the little trims for the tote itself. Again, welcome everyone. Again, the first card we're doing is going to be the Notes and Totes. It's the most complicated of the group, so I expect it'll take the most time. But I wanted to show what the Notes and Totes bundle's about. We're just barely touching the surface with this. Another thing I wanted to point out is that with the Notes and Totes, you can make it three-dimensional. This one might show you a little bit better. The newspaper cutout, die cut, lets you do a little headline, and then you can add something of interest down below that. These make, like little treat. And I brought this one out because it's yellow. You can see the inside. And what you do to make the tote, we're not going to actually demo it, but you cut the pieces. You'll cut 2 of them, and then you're going to fold the pieces on the score lines. And then the way you join them is you're going to take this end flap here and the end flap over here, and you will be, let's get the right sides, you will be putting glue on that and gluing those 2 together. I'm trying to get it so it makes sense. Glue the 2 together, and then you kind of paste it down inside. I think you can see it here where it's pasted down. And then the bottoms are overlapped and then glued together. And these are those trimming strips that I told you about. This is the handle, one of the handles. We're using a different handle on the card. But I just wanted you to know that there's a lot of different potential with this set. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to try and leave this where we can see it for reference, but I don't want to crowd me too much in space. Okay, because there's so many pieces, I have the container for the pieces, and there's so much you need to have some kind of control over it. What I'm doing right now is I'm taking out the note and tote die cut, the little pocket that'll go on there, and I'm also going to take out the little trim pieces and the handle. One more trim piece here. Okay, we'll put those to the side. Little pieces need to be corralled. Okay, so what I believe I wanted to start with was the assembly of the tote. Yes, because that's the foundation. Now you have your tote, and you'll see we have this little tag piece here, which comes into play when you're going to make it 3-dimensional. In this case, we're not really going to do 3-dimensional. It'll have some dimension, but it won't be 3-dimension. So I'm just going to cut off this little piece right here. All right. And then you can take these 2 flaps here and just glue them down to the inside. Just a dab of glue. There we go. Okay. Just close them on the inside. And you'll do the same with the bottom flap. I'm just holding it for a minute to let the glue set. But for the bottom flap, you're going to do the same. A little bit longer there. Now, while that is setting up, I'm going to add in these little strips. Now you can tell the back side from the front side because the front side will be smoother and the back side will have a little bit of roughness because that's where the die cut in. So I'm going to use a fine tip bottle because this is a very fine edge. Yeah, it needs to be poked. Sometimes you need to get it started. I'm just adding a little needle. Okay, I just got to get my direction right. Come on. There we go. I try to keep it handy. All right, so making sure I'm on the back side, which should be the rougher side, I'm just adding a few little dots of glue. Once the glue comes out, there it goes. You don't want to put too much on here because, well, A, the glue holds pretty well, but B, okay, see how this is folded here? I'm going to put this right along that edge and make sure it's even with the top, and we're good. I'm going to do both sides first. But I started to say, if you put too much glue, because the die cut through, it will seep out. So I try to put enough glue, but not too much. Here we go again. Same, right along that fold. Make sure it's even, top and bottom. Okay, and then the bottom. Now the bottom is meant to go right along here, but by having creased the thing, the original die cut ahead of time, it makes it easy to get the crease in the little bottom section here. Okay, gonna put the cap back on that now. I've got you in the shadow. I'm trying not to shadow you, but there you have the bottom piece added. Make sure it's, because you have the liquid glue, you can adjust it if you have it a little bit off, and then it'll just set up and dry. Now I'm going to let that go flat for a little bit, and I'm going to put a little weight on it. Now for the pockets, I'm going to use some dimensionals, and I'm using mini dimensionals here because I wanted to leave room. I'm putting them right along the edges. I wanted to leave room so you could insert something inside this little pocket if you wish. And so I'm just putting the dimensionals right along the edge and maybe one at the bottom. Okay. And then you're going to be kind of centering it. I'm going to press on, make sure it's got good adhesion. And then I'm going to be pressing on here. Remove the protective covering. Okay. Now let's get our little, okay, and just kind of center the pocket. Again, my fingers kind of get in the way sometimes, so I'll use my reverse tweezers to help me get the placement better. I want it kind of centered towards the bottom because we need room for the handle to go on top. And then this is the handle we're going to be using. Again, the smooth side is the front, so I need to put a dab of glue on the bottom. You don't want too much, again, you don't want it seeping out. You just want enough to hold. Okay. And having the pocket there kind of helps it, you center it a little easier. There you go. Now while that is setting up, I'm going to turn it back over again. See this fold here? I'm going to put some dimensionals right along there. These I'm going to put the full size dimensionals because we are going to be inserting things on the inside. And I just wanted to make sure that we had some dimension, also known as a little room, space, to put our things in. I'll turn this over this way. Now we are going to stop at this point because our tote is put together. Okay, now we're going to do the gold sunglass frames. Those might be a little tricky. Let me get those out. It's just easier to do some assembly ahead of time, so it makes the rest go a little faster. These are some of the washi tape flowers that I've die cut for you. This piece I believe we used on the inside. Yes. So we're going to put that aside for right now. And you have 2 gold hearts. I only used 1 on the pocket. And we have the scarf. We had some more flowers and greenery. We have a snail. We have the back of the sunglasses. They're more greenery. Okay, and then we have a bottle here. And then like a tube here. Now, right now we're going to work on the glasses. And again, I'm going to use that fine tip bottle because that's a very fine line we're going to be attaching to. So again, I just kind of put little dots here and there because it's so easy for it to kind of seep. And I got one more here. Grab it there. Oops. Hold tight there. All right. And then we're going to add the black of the glasses. Whoops. That was on the back side. All right. Let's see how we're looking. Oh, we're looking good. Okay, so that's put together. We're going to set that aside, let it dry. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Do we want to do the bottle now? Okay, now for the bottle, if you want, you can actually peel the washi tape off to add to the, it could be a challenge to peel that off though, so it depends on whether you want to bother with it or not. I managed to do it before, but right now it's giving me a hard time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some glue. Use my tweezers again for little things. My tweezers are handy. And just add it to the bottle. I think the washi tape peels off easier when it's been freshly applied. It has a way of growing stronger as it goes. So there's the bottle that's done. We got the glasses that's done. Let's put them both together. And then this one, I wanted to show you. what I did, and I gotta get the stamp out, is I took this stamp and I wanted to add some color to it. And I just used some coloring markers. And I just kind of went over the stamp. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. Kind of went over the stamp. And I colored in the petals. Now, I did a boo-boo when I did this the first time, because I tried coloring it with the blends markers and it stained my stamp image. So that's the boo-boo you don't want to do. Okay, I think I've got everything colored here. All right. And then I'm going to come back with the green. I'm going to add in some color to the leaves. Now this won't all fit on the little bottle, but, or I guess it's a tube, but I'm just trying to make sure I've got the area covered. Okay. And then it helps to have scratch paper behind it. And then I'm just kind of lining it up on here and stamping. And there I've got some decoration on there. You can just, what I did another time is I just used the stamp pad, and then I went back over the leaf area with the green, and it turned it turned the leaves kind of brownish color. And I'm just going to show you that if sometimes you don't like the results, you can go back in and fix it. Okay, so that's for the one. Okay, let's see. I think we got. All right, so now we have this bottle, and you have again choices. I put this inside because there's actually two pieces, and that little piece is liable to get lost. So if you want to apply this, near as I can figure, it gets glued. Let me try this again. And I'm going to use the glue, find tip bottle. Little glue right there. Make sure we're coming out. There we go. Sometimes it's so small, it's easy for me to not see it. Okay, so then what you can do is you can line it up and let it set for a minute. And then I think what I did, I took some of the greenery and just kind of added it to the bottle. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can choose what you want. Again, I'm going to try, see if I can get the bossy tape off, but I don't know. I think it would be cool if I could, but there's no guarantee. I know I had a student that was always able to do this real intense, get this separated, not having any luck. Okay, so I'm just going to glue it, but I'm going to cut it because it's a little long. Okay, add a little glue. All right, put the lid back on that. Add in the glue. I want the other side. I'm just adding it onto the bottle. Like I said, this is not something you have to do. It's going to be a matter of personal choice. I just wanted to get these little goodies already prepared. Now, move that to the side. Now we have to get the background of the card done. And what I did, I'm going to put these babies back inside for the time being. No sense in having them get lost in between. Like I said, there's a lot of little pieces. And they like to escape. Okay. In you go. Now, this is for the inside of the card. So if you have a sentiment that you've chosen, you want to be able to stamp for the inside before you apply it in here. This is the front of the card, and what I did was I gave you a strip of designer series paper to represent the sky, but you only need 4 inches of it, and I let it be the full 6 inches because I'm giving you a choice. Did you want, one part to show and not the other? I kind of like the pink, so I'm going to let the pink show. So when I cut that off, and let me get my cutter. When I cut that off, I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. I'm lining it up with the 4 inches, and I'm going to so slice it. Actually, that's kind of pretty. You might find the use for that someplace. Okay. And then I'm going to put it on here, but I'm going to make sure it's pretty much about 1/8 of an inch. I'm not sure how well that's showing. 1/8 of an inch around. You want to be sure to get that. And that's another reason why I like the liquid glue, because I can adjust after I put in for a few minutes. Okay. Now comes the tricky part. You guys ready for this? Okay. This is the new double-sided paper, which means one side is darker than the other side. And what we're going to do is we are going to tear a strip. And actually, I decided after the fact that I like the lighter strip for the label and then the darker strip for the sand. So what I want is when you tear this, and I'm tearing, this is the lighter side, and I'm tearing it towards me about, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so, but just enough so you get the tear, but I'm tearing it towards me so you can see the core of the paper. And then I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to tear it away from me. You want about 1 inch away from me, which will still allow for the white core to show. You see how it's showing over there? There we go. That's putting the white core to work. Okay, and then you can stamp your image relax on there. This part is going to be actually applied down here, but you want to decide how much of the sky you want to show, and I think I need to take off a good ½ inch. So I'm going to take and tear this again, but I want it, oh yeah, that'll work. No, it won't. Gotta go this, no, gotta go this way. I want the white to show. Okay, so I'm tearing it towards me for the bottom part. Okay, and that should give me enough to work with. Yes, all right. We'll just line it up like that, which is what we're going to do now. Now, I don't know if you have this experience, but I have it all the time. I'm sitting here, I'm working on cards. I know I have my tools and supplies right beside me, but when I go to get them, even though they're right in front of me, for some reason I have trouble seeing them. Okay, I'm trying to do the 1/8 inch, and I'm also trying to make sure that it lines up with the items on top here. Now, we're going to use this as a guide as far as where we're going to put our little saying. Maybe it's going to go up a little higher. All right, and then we want to stamp this. And what I'm going to do, now you'll have chosen the sentiments you want to use. Okay, I'm putting this down so it can relax, and then I'm going to pick it up so it fits. Okay, and then I'm going to get my black ink. Got my Memento black ink here, whose lid closes firmly. And then what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to just ink up the relax part. So that's what I'm doing here. I don't want any on the rest of the saying, and I'm just going to stamp it down. Now I've got the relax there, and I haven't secured this down yet because we're going to be inserting it. But in addition, let me put the lid back on this. In addition to having that there, we want to stamp some grains of sand if you have the stamps. I know a number of, we're doing some grains of sand here, and I know a number of stamp sets will have this little texture going for it. I'm going to get crumb cake ink because it's not as, it'll show, but it won't be jumping out at you. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball. That's why I had the placement. I'm just going to kind of eyeball things here and there. And then that's down here. I'm going to put some up there. A lot of this won't show because it'll be under. Let's do a little bit up here. Okay. It'll be under the tote. Okay. All right. Now, let me just make sure I'm not going too far off what I gave you for directions. Okay, we did sunglasses and we did the bottle and the other containers. Okay, now we're working on that. All right. Right. Yeah, the big paragraph had to do with the tearing because that was the tricky part. Okay. Now, on one of my cards, I went ahead and stamped some birds up here, but that's up to you. At this point, I think we can go ahead and add this. Let's make sure our alignment is okay. Okay, we've got my up here. I want this down far enough. Okay. All right. A little bit further. Okay. Okay. So I want that to be there. I put the glue. Okay, we're doing this again. Checking my positioning. Okay, I want you down just a smidge. And line them up on the sides. A for liquid glue. Okay, now we're ready to put this guy on. Okay, so we're ready to take off the protective covering on the dimensionals. And place it. Okay. Now we can start decorating it. Oh boy. Let's see. This is up to you as far as what you want to do, to what you want to add. You can kind of tuck things in and see, do I like it here? Does that fit there? Maybe I want to put the bottle there, or maybe I want to put it over here. No, that's too big. Let's put it down here. All right, bottle there. Let's see. Let me slide the stuff out again, because now it's time to use it. And the sunglasses are being difficult. There we go. Okay, turn everything around so you can see what you got. This is up to you, what you want to do. I'm using the card as a guide. I already know I want to put the heart, the heart sticking to me, the heart on the pocket. Okay. Now these hearts actually came out of when I cut the sunglasses, and I couldn't see wasting them. Okay, and then we have relax. Oh, I wanted to point out, with this die, it actually cuts it so you can actually pop this up a little bit if you want more dimension to it. And in fact, if you wanted, you can even put a little dimensional right there in the center to help it with the popping up. I'm going to put a little glue down here. Come on, there we go. And that dimension will just kind of help it be popped up a little more. Okay. And arrangement over here, you can kind of do your own thing with what you got. This piece, again, we're using for the inside. I don't know if you like the roses. Of course, we could put the sunglasses in the pocket. Kind of like that, maybe. And whatever fits, wherever it fits. Or let's see, where'd the other one go? There it is. Again, it's up to you. Where do you want it? Sometimes they take the sunglasses and they just kind of clip them on. I'm just doing a layout here. You know, it's up to you which way you want to do it. Ah, but there is one thing, the scarf. For that, I used a mini glue dot, and you just put it on the very top, and then you use that to kind of stick it to the top of the handle. Let's see, do I like this like this? Maybe I'll do that. Okay. I guess this is a card where the fine tip glue bottle is a good idea because there's a lot of fine pieces here. To say nothing of the help of a pair of tweezers. You're supposed to stick to the paper, not me. One thing nice about dark colors, the white glue shows up really well on it. When you're doing glue on white, it's kind of like, is it there? Are we sure it's there? And then these guys, once you've decided where you want to put them, just add some glue and let it be. There we go. Now I'm adding a little bit of glue at the top here, just because it's so fragile and just kind of out there. I don't want a lot, I just want a little. And it'll fit in here. Oh, come on. You fit in there before, fit in there now. Oh, I know why. Got behind the paper. That's what the problem was. Okay. And this big guy. Now, I left room there. I could do some birds if I wanted. But right now, we're going to work on the inside. And we have these extra pieces left, which can come into play a little later. Okay. So, now here's the part where I usually prefer the Stamparatus because I always get kind of intimidated about getting things straight. But if I goof it, it's only paper. Turn it over, try again. Okay, now before, we only, and I want to dry that off, we only put ink on the relax. Now I'm focusing on the enjoy part. And I'm going to look at that closely. Okay, looks like we're good. There we go. All right. And then we add the flowers. And enjoy. Oh, come on. Stay in place. All right. So then we just apply it to the inside of the card. Again, leaving a border of about 1/8 of an inch on all sides. And your first card is done. I'm going to save these little pieces. You never know when you need little pieces to help out, especially if you get some ink somewhere where you don't want it or something like that. It's always nice to have that. All right. I'm just cleaning up real quick because the problem with stamping is we have a tendency to get a lot of stuff out, and then suddenly it's hard to control everything. Let's see, I had this too. I wanted to clean and put away. I'm using a chamois to clean. I think you guys mostly know that. I do have another type of cleaner, but I generally keep the chamois handy because it's smaller and quicker. And then I'm putting the 2 stamps away so that when I look for them again, I can find them. Okay, card number 1. Now, the hard part is mostly behind us. This is the card number 1 that we just finished. I may look at that again, maybe add some birds, we'll see. And then I'm going to put this away here. And this away here. All right. Okay, there we go. Now, card number 2. Let's get this covered up so we don't have a big oops. Okay, for this one, this is the Inspired Imperfections set, and this is a screen card. Now, this card was a little different than anything I'd done, and you notice there's kind of an ornate stand here. Well, the way we did that, I needed to show you. Okay, where did it go? Lovely. That's what I get for getting so prepared ahead of time, right? There it is. All right. What I did was I actually used a die. Now, I used a different die on this one, but I decided to try this one, and I kind of liked it. And what you're going to do is you're going to be having these panels on here, and you want to center it. The black panel is the layer panel, and then you'll have the decorative on top of that. You want to kind of center it where you want it to make sure you don't go up too high. All right, and I just kind of followed the outline here to give me a clue as to where to put it. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this on. I want it balanced on both sides. Okay, and then I'm going to use my die cut machine. Oh, I debated. I could stick it on here, but it's so big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my placement on the cutting. Okay, I'm looking at this and I want it balanced between both sides, and I want it even. And then I'm going to take, now this is post-it note tape. I use this, I prefer it over the washi tape because sometimes the washi tape will leave us a real sticky residue. All right, now what's going to happen is I've got it on the one fold. I'm going to open this up because the die will cut through 2 layers of cardstock. Not much luck cutting through 3, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to sandwich it. Okay, and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. Now, when I get this back, I'm going to take it and turn it over and look. And yes, it did cut. So I'm okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this up. And you can see both pieces have come off. But I still have this last piece to do. So I have to take the pieces I just cut out off. And then I use this to line it up with the other side. And you can do this a couple of different ways. I would like to kind of place it and feel it, you know, where it stops itself, so I know it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to sandwich it on the cutting plate, and it got undone. Gosh, gotta watch out for those things. Okay. There we go. I'm going to use a fresher piece. This is probably a little stronger than the other one I used. There. Okay. That's on there. Centered on here. I'm going to sandwich it. Okay. Stick it in here. I'm sticking it in the die cut machine and running it through. Come on. There we go. Okay, and we are done. I just felt it was necessary to show you how I did that. You know, I could do the two sides together, and then the other one I had to do using it as a guide so that they're all balanced. Okay, that's how you got your die cuts card bases. And because I had your sympathy and I wasn't sure what dies you might have to choose from, I went ahead and did that for you, so you didn't have to worry about it. Put my pieces back. Okay, now we're ready to move on. Okay, let's see. Oh, a sentiment on the white panel. Well, I wasn't expecting it to have to be so hard to look for. Let's see. There you are. Let's see. There we go. Okay. And then the black ink again. Hopefully you guys have already stamped your sentiments. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah. I just went down a little bit. There we go. Now, the rest of the card is kind of lickety split. You'll notice that each piece has a black panel behind it. So this has a black panel, the gold has a black panel, and the white has a black panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all these pieces and we're going to put them on the black panels first. So that's what you can do right now. Really quick and easy. Oh my gosh. The hard part's behind you guys. It's going downhill now. Let's see, which way do I want? I want it that way. And I'm just using the liquid glue. I'm using the background to kind of make sure it's even all around. Okay, that's one. The gold. Now, remember when you have an embossed surface like this, you're going to need extra glue because it won't be even it and pick up the glue in all spots. So you have to put a little extra. I just really love that embossing folder. I think it's so dramatic and I think it's so beautiful, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Some of you may remember using this embossing folder to do the blackout technique, which works so fantastic with it. Okay, that's 2 panels done. Here's 3 panels coming up. There's 3 panels. Now we have this little packet of little gizmos, little decorations. Okay. Let's see, this is going to go here, and one of these is going to go there. All right, so I'm moving that up a little bit. We're getting ready to put the panels on. The first panel, bringing it up. We want it to be centered. There we go. And then you're ready to add in. Okay, I believe I popped this bowl up with dimensional, so I'm just going to put this one down with glue. Yeah, okay. And then dimensionals for this one. And then we're going to add some glue to these little decoration die cuts. Again, I'm using the fine tip bottle. In case I haven't clarified this, the glue that's in this bottle is the same Tombow glue in the green and white one that I use. It's just that I had to transfer it into the fine tip bottle because I wanted to be able to use the same glue. But okay, let's see. That can go there. And this one. The other technique I often use when putting glue on really fine things like this is I would put it on a silicone mat and sponge it. That works pretty well too. Depends on how many projects you got going. This next one, oh my gosh, all we got to do is put it on there. How about that? Woo! Now, black is an interesting color. Of course, it's popular for Halloween, but it is, I'm not even sure it's really a color. It's a nothingness, isn't it? But it's just makes things stand out. It makes it just jump right out at you, which is a nice thing. Okay. And now this one. Okay. Now, I hope you don't mind, but I'm not really one of those people who can do a lot of small talk. I find it distracting. If I'm talking about something that relates to what we're doing, I don't mind. But small talk isn't a big thing with me. I find it's easier to focus on what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'll forget what I'm doing and then we run into problems. Let's see, that way. Oh, I see I got a little spot of glue there, but I'll clear that off. After it dries, I'll just use the glue eraser and it's fine. And there you have card number 2. Whoa, isn't that fun? Special card. I mean, it's not the card you do for everybody, but I think it makes a nice stand-up beauty. I'm going to leave that open because there's a little spot of glue, but there we go. Card 2. Now, card 3 is fun. Okay. Put my dimensionals back where they belong so when I'm ready for them again, I can find them. Oh, you will also notice with this card, I gave you a larger envelope so it will fit. It will leave some space there. You might want to put maybe something in to just help the stiffness of it. But I made sure to give you an envelope that was big enough for your card. This is our third card. And we're going to do a little work on the inside. In fact, I know who I'm going to send this card to. Haha. Okay. So now I don't know if you have a sponge dauber or whether you would prefer to use a blending brush, but basically what I did on this inside piece is I wanted to add some color, and I chose the Real Red, which is the color of the cardstock, but I just didn't want to leave it plain. I wanted to add some color to the edge, so I used a sponge dauber, and I used the Real Red ink, which I believe is in here. Yeah. Now, if you're using blending brushes, you'll need to have a piece of scrap paper, and you would be going over it from the edge. It might be a little softer, it might go in a little deeper. It's up to you. But the sponge daubers are inexpensive and handy little buggers, and all you have to do is ink it up like I just did and go along the edge. Can you see the color coming? Sometimes simple things like that we forget we have. You know, we get caught up in some of our fancier things, but not everything has to be super fancy. Now I changed the location of my hand to aid in the firmness of the area where I'm daubing. It just helps get a little bit better reception. Okay, so there you have your sponge dauber. And we can let that dry before we try the stamp on it. Let's work on the rest of the card. Okay. I'm going to take this, and because it's embossed, I'm turning it over to the debossed side. I'm going to add a generous amount of glue. And line it up on the front. Make sure it's even. Okay. And then do the same with the gold. Now you'll notice that I left a space here, so the gold's not right along the edge. I kind of like the extra contrast there. Okay. And you want to line it up with the red. Okay, give that a moment to dry. While that's drying, put a little weight on it. We're going to work on a vase and bowls. You can see that there. Now I decided to use the other technique. Let's see, for the glue on these detailed dies, which is why I'm bringing out my silicone mat. And what I do is I put a, let's see, is this one open? It feels heavy. I think the other one. Yeah. I put a little pool of glue on my mat. Okay. Let's get us started. Not the final. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these die cuts, the gold die cuts, and I'm going to figure out where am I going to put them on the bowl. You know, how do I want them to go? You know, is it going to go this way or that way? Well, it actually kind of fits that way. All right, so now that I have an idea of where I'm going to be putting them, now I'm going to get some glue, pick it up from the silicone mat, and I put the die down and I hold it in place so it doesn't move around. And now I just got to remember, how did I do that? I think it went that way a little bit. And then if you have a piece that sticks over a little bit, you just take your scissors and snip it off. Bingo. Okay, you're going to do the same on the other, on the vase. You're going to look at it, see how's this going to go, how we want this to fit. Oh, let's see, I kind of like it that way. Okay, so then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to add some more glue. Okay, I'm going to grab it up again. And then I'm going to sponge it on. Last dab I do, I pick it up. I tap it down. Snip off any excess. Come on. There. All right, so those are ready. This should be glued now. Okay, we're going to do that. And then this is also going to be popped up over here. All right, so now we want to do the two filigrees. I'm going to get some more glue. Okay. pick it up, and then I put this in a clean spot because you don't want glue to get on the front. All right, and then that's going to go over here. And this one. Okay, it's going to go down here. All right. And then I don't think I put dimensionals on that. Okay. The vase is going to get glued down. Okay, this is one of the ones that kind of could use a little weight. And this I'm going to put on dimensionals. I want them over here. So let's get the dimensionals going. There. And there. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little glue to this side because that's where it's going to cross over the vase. I'm going to take off the protective covering. I like it down there. Okay. And now we have this little packet. And inside the packet is some embellishments. And I'll take the big one, stick it right there. And take the smaller ones and find some homes for them. Okay. That's the front. Now we need to do the inside. The inside has 2 filigrees in the corners. We need to stamp the sentiment. I haven't decided what I want to do. I think I'll stamp this one later on. I have a feeling I'm going to do a birthday card out of it. But in this case, I was sending it to a person with having difficulties, and I wanted to encourage them that they'll get through it. How many times have you faced in this situation where you thought, oh, this is just impossible, and found out later it worked out? They have a way of popping up on us. Okay. Add some more glue. Now, I keep adding the glue in the same area, and then I pick it up with a sponge and apply it. And when I pick it up with a sponge, I kind of smear it around. And what happens is that it makes that spot more of a solid thing. So after it dries, it makes it easy to peel it off. There. Makes it easier to clean up, though, in other words. Now, one I didn't mention. The glue that I use on my silicone mat is not the Tombow. The Tombow glue retains its stickiness when it's dried. And there are times when you can use that to your advantage. The tacky glue dries clear, but it doesn't remain sticky. Now, if I'm using my silicone mat and I use Tombow glue, and I don't know if you can see, maybe you can see little residues there, if I get the light right. There's little residues of glue that are on there. And if I was using the Tombow glue, my mat would be sticky in those areas. So that's why I use the tacky glue, because it's not sticky. It's rough. It needs to be cleaned off, but it's not sticky. I can show you that, get the light just right. Anyway, that's why I use the tacky glue. Okay, card number 3 is done. How about that? Ready to move on? Okay. Now, generally, I would take my sponge dauber and put it in some water right away just to get the glue out of it. Because if it dries, then you can't seem to get the glue out of it. So that's just something for you to remember when we're not doing classes back to back. Okay. This next card, I think, is just sweet. It's truly charming to me, and yet it's really simple. This is using the washi tape and the Spotlight on Nature dies, and I got the embossing folders that came in a pack of 3 basic embossing folders or something like that. It just, you can use whatever embossing folder you like to do this. I just happen to like, with the circle, I like the little dots. It just appealed to me. Okay, so you have some more washi tape images, and you have your card base. Now, some of you have pink, some of you have purple. I liked with both of them. If you got the pink one, you'll have more pinker flowers. If you got the purple one, then you'll have more purple flowers. First thing we need to do is stamp our sentiment, which is why I had that stamp set there. I'm going to stick with You're in My Thoughts, because I really like the font of that one. That came from Softly Sophisticated. I'm not sure if it's still live, but I just like the font of it. You're in my thoughts, and just works for so many things. Okay. And we need the black. Okay, we're doing pretty good. It's only a half hour, hour and a half now. Okay. All right. I'm just inking this up, and I'm going to put this on here. Okay, give it a few moments to sink in. All right. Okay. Now we're going to take this and glue it onto here. I like the Spotlight on Nature dies, they have come in so handy. They just add that little extra touch. Yes, I could just do a gold circle, but it's not just a gold circle. This adds a spot of interest. Another thing nice about circles is the fact that when you're stamping, if you got it crooked, you just turn the circle and it's straight. Okay? Nice thing about that. Okay, and then we're going to add some glue. Okay. Now, I have been kind of experimenting with washi tape, and I've been pleased with the nice touch they add to your projects. It's just a nice little touch. And it's pretty easy to do. What you do is you have the tape. I can show it to you. You have the tape, and it comes where you need to unroll it from the roll, and it has two sections. It has the pink section, and then it has the purple section. You can see the two kind of colors there. The first part was purple, the second part is pink. And then that's why I could choose a pink or purple-ish color, because I was using that. But you would take this and you would place it on cardstock, and then they have a die that you put over it, cuts it out exactly as it's placed. It's really pretty easy once you have that done. I got busy because I was making a bunch for you guys, and I just did a whole bunch of them that way, and it worked really well. Okay, let's get back to gluing. Sometimes if the pieces are small, I go ahead and use my tweezers ahead of time because I'm then equipped to hold it. I'm going to turn it that way a little bit. Okay, you're in my thoughts. Let's get the front panel done. Again, with the embossing, be generous with your glue. You want 1/8 of an inch border around all sides, so you've got some time to line things up. Okay. And then, now you have a choice. I didn't, but you could put this up on the dimensionals. Again, because of the embossing, I'm being generous with the glue. And I'm going to use this for a moment so we get good adhesion. And while I'm waiting on that, we're going to go and add the flower to the inside panel. One thing nice about You're in My Thoughts is that you don't have to have an inside sentiment. You getting ready to write a note like, why are you in my thoughts? Wishing you a happy birthday. Oh, I'm so happy to hear your good news. A grandma now. Wow. How did that happen? You know, kind of thing. Put your own personal note. Okay. okay. Don't have to have it. Okay. There we go. Now, a beautiful but easy card. But you're learning to use the washi tape too. So, I did all the die cutting for you. That made it a lot faster. But I think that, well, initially when I thought about the washi tape, I wasn't so sure. But then I started seeing what people were doing with it. And I thought, that is kind of nice. And I'm glad I did. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these cards. We're doing pretty good on time. That one only took us about 7 minutes. How about that? I have some news for you. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. Okay. What I have here are the cards for the next set. Now, at the beginning, before everybody was on, I showed this gorgeous paper. And it's just, this is the Traditions of Christmas paper. And it's just so pretty. And the backside's not bad either, but uh, they have dies to cut out these flowers. And they have dies to cut out, let me find the other one. These little swags. So it makes it really handy. What I did is I used this embossing folder. It's called Peaceful Greenery, and it has the open space inside. I've used that. I used that on this card, and I used it on this card, just the season. And I just really, I know it's red on red, but wow, it just really kind of pops. Okay. And then I used the die cut floral image here. So this is the stamp set. You can stamp these images too and color them whatever color you prefer. But then the dies are right here to cut them out. There's this for the swag and this is for the bouquet. In addition, there's some other dice. Really a big stem of pine or spruce, and then a big stem of leaves and a couple of large, holly. And then some other dies that cut, like this would cut out the little poinsettias. That I think it might work on the paper. I'm not positive about that, but anyway. And then these are some berries that'll go with the holly. They're good size. And then this is a bow if you want to use the bow. You also can stamp a bow. This is a smaller version of the pine bough and holly berries and center of flowers. But there's a lot to choose from on here. There aren't any sentiments in this set. I used an older sentiment on this card. I just liked the way it looked on it. And then I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And then the other card I've got, there's two cards. These two are using the paper from the Traditions of Christmas. This one is also using Traditions of Christmas paper. And it's also featuring the die cuts from the pine boughs, which I don't think I brought out. Let's see. Mm. All right. There's a pine bough set that these cards I wanted to share with you. I love how they turned out, but they require stamping. I can't do the stamping for you. So, what I think I'm going to do, because I just think they're so gorgeous, is I'm going to try and do a video on YouTube showing how to make these. I think what's going to happen is when I run across sets that I really like, that I felt worthwhile, that you should invest in, that I'll try to do a video showing how ideas, how to use it, so you can see and then you can make your own choice. The pine bough set, and I can't think of the name right now. Nope, that's not it. Is features these die cuts. I use 3 of them here in graduating sizes, and I just like them. I just, I really, I bought the, I admit I bought the dies and the set mostly for those die cuts, but I have since discovered that I really, really like the stamp set, and I want to share it with you. So anyway, that's going to be a topic of uh, an independent video, not a class, an independent video, but I wanted to show what was out there. Now this one, I used those dies to create the front piece, and then we have the inside here. So this will be the 4th card. We have 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's a 3rd card for that. And then the Amber Autumn, it is a autumn set. I'm fond of autumn, I have to admit. And I got started on this and I wanted to share it with you. This die is very intricate, but it's nice. I had some paper that made me think of fall foliage, and I used it, and I like how it worked. And I did a Z-fold card with it. But I ran into problems again. I wanted to use that stamp, but I can't stamp it for you. So what I did was I had a die for a pumpkin, and I created a pumpkin to go on the front, and then you can use whatever sentiment you want to go. And I just decorated the inside. I used a retired embossing folder that had pine boards on it. Now they do have a new one out there that has the wood embossing kind of thing. You can find that and use that. Um, but I just really liked it. Now my problem was I liked that die, and I got this idea. Wouldn't it be fun to have it in the fall colors? Well, yes, it would. But in order to do it, I had to take cardstock and blend the colors in there and then die cut it out. Well, I couldn't figure out how I could do that because I wanted you guys to get the experience of blending, but then you wouldn't have the die. And so this is the potential. This is the stamp that I can't stamp for you that I've colored in. And I've colored in this and cut it out and just add this to this combination. Now, I tried a bunch of different combinations. I just happen to like this one the best. But then you can add your little sentiment there. And let's see, what do they have? Blessed to have you, my life. Grateful for you. You're simply the best. Autumn wishes. I like autumn wishes. That'd be very pretty up there. Anyway, this is the card we're going to do. This is the card I wanted to show you you could do. Okay. And again, I may do a separate video showing that one. But that is the 4th card for next month. Now, one more piece of news. I understand that the computers are going to be upgraded to Windows 11. I'm not sure how that's going to affect me. I'm not totally comfortable with tech stuff. I'm working on it. But I'm hoping, and I'm taking encouragement from my daughter, I'm hoping that I can just go ahead and proceed because I understand that the Windows 11 may require a new computer, and I don't think I'm ready for a new computer yet. So we'll see how that goes. But I wanted you to see these cards while I could show them to you in person, alive, so you can see that they're not just plain old cards. They're fun. There we go. Anyway, I hope you enjoy these cards, and I hope to see you next time. Um, if you have questions or comments, please let me know what you think. I appreciate that. And let's see. I guess that's about it. So, anyway, happy time now because we're headed into the holiday season. And I have a lot of Christmas cards to make, so I'm going to be busy. Okay. Happy to see you here. Take care. Bye.